This is the World Organic News for the week ending 1st of January 2018. John Moore reporting. We begin this week with a look at the lived effects of global warming on the people of Lapland. Quote, environmental changes in the far north are having disastrous effects on the region's indigenous people and tourism industry. Besides being the name of Swedish and Finnish provinces, Lapland is the English name for a region largely above the Arctic Circle, which stretches across north of Norway, Sweden, Finland and Russia. Research has revealed the disproportionate impact of climate change in the Arctic, where temperatures are currently rising at double the rate of the global average. The far north is bearing the brunt of global warming, and as much of Lapland's population relies on its polar climate for their livelihoods, the effects are starting to be felt. End quote. In particular, the reindeer are suffering from an inability to graze through powder snow to find feed. The reindeer are the Sami, or Laplanders' culture. They are that intimately linked. Again a quote. Quote, the reindeer herders are becoming acutely aware of the impact climate change is having on their animals. Unpredictable weather patterns, and specifically rain replacing snow during the coldest months, leads to crusts of ice forming on the ground, where normally there would be a soft layer of snow. Reindeer, which typically feed by digging into the snow and grazing on lichen, are unable to either smell food under the ice or dig to access it. You can have herds starving to death just because they didn't dig for food. The role that reindeer have in shaping everything from the Sami language to their handcrafting traditions, which rely on products like reindeer skin and antlers, it's an entire culture that would disappear with the reindeer. End quote. I am aware that cultures have risen and fallen with climatic variations in the past, and this is what happens. But I feel what's happening in the northern latitudes now is arguably a crime against humanity and definitely a crime against nature. We as a species have known since at least the 1970s we had a problem with global warming. What we didn't realise was we had a problem with fossil fuel companies and their use of data to confound and confuse, straight out of the tobacco lobby playbook. There is a direct line between increased CO2 and the possible collapse of the Sami culture. More on this later in the show. Now to people who are making a difference, little steps at a time. From the blog, Number One Pig Fan, comes the post, Pasture Pig Farming, Unlocking Unlimited Potential. Quote, pasturing pigs in the tropics holds a lot of untapped potential for pig farmers, especially in Nigeria. The pig is able to meet all its nutritional and housing requirements from the environment at a zero cost. End quote. There's some lovely videos in the link in the show notes. Pigs raised as nature intended are wonderful animals. And now from one of my favourite blogs, Ancient Foods, comes the post, Chinese archaeologists discover cave-dwelling agrarian society. Quote, Chinese archaeologists have found a large amount of carbonised rice grains in caves dating from the New Stone Age, challenging the conventional view that cave dwellers were solely hunter-gatherers and did not cultivate land for food. More than 10,000 grains were discovered at the No. 4 cave in Nanshan ruins in East China's Fujian province, which dates back 5,300 to 4,300 years before present. End quote. I think we can learn much from the early agriculturalists across the globe. A critical analysis of when we as a species first became entrapped by cereals will reveal ways of farming long forgotten, but which are still in touch with the fisher-gatherer-hunter cultures from which they arose. I see permaculture and Masanobu Fukuoka's natural farming as techniques connecting us back to these times and providing surprisingly large returns per unit area. It's a thought and one I will explore further this year. And while we're on the Chinese theme, we have a blog from, and I apologise for whichever language I'm about to butcher, Hohei Consultoria de Invocario Proyectos de Fomento, entitled China is building solar roadways, transparent concrete atop solar cells that charge driving cars. Quote, China is building roadways with solar panels beneath that may soon have the ability to charge cars wirelessly and digitally assist automated vehicles. This second solar roadway project, part of the Xinjiang City Expressway, is a 1.2-mile stretch. The building technique involves transparent concrete over a layer of solar panels. Construction is complete and grid connection is pending, but is expected to be completed before the end of this year, 2017, end quote. Just imagine what this would mean. Electric vehicles capable of running, if not infinitely, at least until they required some form of maintenance on the power plant and drivetrain. No longer would vehicles need to sit still to recharge, or when not required for an individual's commute. We as a species would require far fewer vehicles, and resources currently committed could be redirected elsewhere. This year I hope to bring many more posts on the changes underway, so stay tuned or even subscribed. And now back to the matter of fixing global warming. I came across a photo post on Facebook this week from which I'll quote. The pic is also in the show notes at the blog www.worldorganicnews.com. Quote, "When are we going to stop pretending? It's regular people's fault the planet's dying because they won't go vegan or take 5-minute showers and start actually blaming corporations that produced astronomical pollution and dump toxic waste directly into the mouths of great whales." End quote. This pretty much sums up where we are at the moment, especially in the West. Vested interests, think vegans, are pushing for meat-free diets under the cover of global warming, when really that's just a straw man and they want others to follow their personal decision to stop consuming meat. The real causes, as quoted, of global warming, the corporations producing astronomical amounts of pollution and toxic waste, they are poisoning our air, water and land. This is the message we need to get out to the world. Without this understanding, there will never be political change, and without political change, there never will be real change. So, and this may become a little repetitive this year, this is my focus for the next 12 months. I'll still be reporting on those of us on the front line of practical hands-on change, as I have today, but I'll keep my eye on the truly horrific effects and their causes, consciencelessness, corporations. And with that thought, I'll finish for this week. A transcript of this episode is available at worldorganicnews.com. Thanks for listening. I'll be back at the same time next week.